Welcome back. You're watching and listening to Christmas Eve Breakfast with Patrick Christys and me, Emily Carver.
Yes, happy Christmas Eve, everybody. Well, joining us to go through some of the day's headlines is political correspondent for The Spectator magazine, it's James Hill. We've also got showbiz reporter Stephanie Cecchi, and we have got sports broadcaster...
Who let him join our panel?
Aidan McGee. He's snuck in. Aidan snuck in, hasn't he? Right, where shall we start? Well, at
the top, I think.
Indeed.
And our top story... James's story. This is Reform UK to challenge the Conservatives in every single seat. Is that a pipe dream, or could that actually happen?
Well, it's certainly not a pipe dream. It's going to be a nightmare, more like for Rishi Sunak, because, of course, 2019, one of the reasons why the Conservatives did very well, winning that big, historic 80-seat landslide, was that Nigel Farage stood down his candidates in those Tory seats. They still stood... The Brexit Party candidates stood in the Labour seats and potentially cost the Tories another 20 candidates, and that's 20 MPs. And I think this time what's telling is that I think there were some Conservatives hoping that Richard Tice would stand down his candidates for reform, potentially stop them splitting the kind of centre-right vote, but that's not going to happen, according to leaked correspondence which the Times got hold of.
Well, just a little reminder that not long now until we hear from Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer, potentially as well Ed Davey and Humza Yousaf, north of the border in Scotland, as our political leaders give us their Christmas message. We are going to be joined by Richard Tice live later on. There is that news that Reform UK are going to challenge the Tories in every seat at the next general election.
And he's got his own little Christmas message to the nation, doesn't he?
He's got a Christmas message for you, so stay tuned for that. Stephanie, ITV chiefs are discussing a major shake-up, are they, of the soaps? Is this right?
Yeah, it seems like soaps are dying out of, or falling out of favour with audiences at home. There's been this steady decline of the amount of people who are watching soaps. Obviously, tomorrow's Christmas Day, so everyone will tune in for, like, the EastEnders storyline, Coronation storyline. But ITV bosses are actually considering taking soaps off terrestrial TV and making them just be streamed on apps, which I think is a shame, because I think soaps are like that final strand of TV where people like watching it together in a living room and as a family. But if you think about Christmas Day 1985, where there was the Angie Watts storyline on EastEnders...
I think that was 86.
It was 86? Oh, look.
Aidan, stay in your lane.
Happy Christmas, Ange.
That was watched by 30 million people.
Oh, my goodness.
Where now we're only getting figures about 2.8.
Christmas episodes are always the most dramatic, aren't they?
They are, but what do you think they could replace it with that could get those kind of numbers? Because aren't many programmes, even on terrestrial, that run into the millions, are they, in terms of audience?
No, there isn't. And I think there's always that curiosity about storylines and soaps, which I think will keep people tuning in. So I think if they replace that, it'll be such a mistake.
I've told my family tomorrow night to get out of the house after the Christmas edition of EastEnders. I've got work next day, I've got about put 3 a.m. But I know they'll ignore it. They'll probably be the same as last year. They'll still be there when I go to work.
Yeah, indeed. Now, Aidan, there was some sporting news, quite a lot of sporting news last night. There was the boxing, there was Anthony Joshua's glorious return, not so good for Deontay Wilder. But in the Premier League, there was a first, wasn't there? There
was indeed. Now, we covered this extensively on GBNEWS. We really followed it in the last week or so. This is Rebecca Welch. She took charge of a Premier League game, refereed the first time a woman has done so in the history of top-flight football, at the top level anyway, the Premier League, rather. So the best thing I can say, really, and they always say that a good referee is one that goes unnoticed. There isn't widespread coverage of this morning. It's been mentioned. In fact, the Fulham manager, he was on the receiving end of a 2-0 home defeat yesterday against Burnley, called her performance a normal performance. And I have to say, that's great. That's absolutely fantastic. That's what a referee is, what an official is meant to do. They're meant to go unnoticed. If they're trying to steal the show, that means they're trying to be like the players. And I think that's the full props to her. Vincent Kompany went up to... I mean, easy when you win, I suppose, but he went up to her afterwards, and he said afterwards, I wanted to congratulate her because, aside from the performance, it's a very big moment. So she did very, very well. And this has been a long time coming. There are 200 women on the list around the world. I remember seeing Amy Rayner and Sian Massey running the line as far back as 2007. So this has been a long time coming. It's long overdue.
Do you think it's a big thing to football fans having a female referee?
Hopefully it'll make no difference. Hopefully it'll make no difference, because it shouldn't make any difference who's running the line, as long as they're fit enough to get up and down, they've got a good eye for detail, and they'll make big decisions in big, hot environments. The next step for Rebecca Welch will be taking a hold of a really big top-4 game, Liverpool v Arsenal or something like that.
So you think they'll be relaxed about it? Because there was quite a hoo-ha about Mary Earps getting BBC Sport Personality of the Year.
Yes, I know, but then this is different. This is officiating. I think most reasonable supporters will be happy to accept her on the landscape. And if she does a good job, why on earth shouldn't she be part of it?
I suspect it'll go unnoticed until there's a really big controversial call.
Yes,
that's when suddenly maybe the issue might flare up.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll wait on that. We'll cover that as well.
Now, James, I want to move to the Times Online. This is one of your stories. Pigs in blankets, the side dish that became a year-round obsession. That's one for you, isn't it, Patrick?
Absolutely.
Declare your
Stuck 'em
interest.
hard.
Declare your interest.
This is my favourite story in today's papers, which is talking about how pigs in blankets, which was invented in 1957, was very obscure, and then Delia Smith put it in a cookbook in 1990, and ever since, pigs in blankets have become one of the nation's favourite dishes. And now they're talking about the sort of unstoppable march of these pork favourites. And they're now a year-round favourite, where you've got pigs in blanket, ice cream flavour, pigs in blanket, what was it?
Chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets.
Pigs in blanket.
And
I'm just
chicken
imagining
served on
these little
Easter
sausages.
Sunday. And I can't all be Patrick Christie's. So I'm just saying...
I covered the reopening of Delia Smith's restaurant at Norwich City after COVID.
Oh, yeah.
That's all the big gigs.
We chatted food quite extensively, actually.
You know what?
Lots in common.
I assumed pigs in blankets had been around since day dot, but no, they're just in the 20th century.
Yeah, it was the late thing, and basically
Creation.
it was just wrapping it round, obviously. Before that, they did other different types of meat, but no one had put the two together until...
I have to admit, I eat pigs in blanket all year round.
Yeah.
I had one yesterday.
Yeah, they're just really Moorish and they're so tiny as well. I don't think they should just be limited to Christmas, but I'm not a fan.
Has the
of
vegan
pig in
left the
blankets.
building? Just checking. He's gone. Ed Winters.
All right. OK. So we've been asking you to get in touch with your Christmas Eve picks and pets this morning. Here's a few of our favourites so far. Libby from Hilton says this is her at 6 a.m. Oh, fantastic. OK. She'll be here until 6 p.m. She's wrapping her grandchild's gifts. And we've got Karen and her husband love watching the show, and he's enjoying the hot tub.
Oh, he's got a great setup there.
Oh, Daniel
And is
the
it
cat.
time to open the presents yet? Daniel's cat is there, in amongst the presents, below the trees. Very sweet.
All right. Well, we've got loads coming your way. But first, is it going to be a white Christmas?